we go in and calculate the utility allowance. And what we do prior to you guys using the tool is we'll go in and input all of your utility allowances into the system. So in this case, we've done them. We got 4 different utility allowances for the different unit types. We'll just select one. Hit save. You'll notice that if I put the tenant responsible for these particular utilities, that's like that. The amount paid by the tenant is automatically updating over here to the side. If there was ever something that you needed to override, there's an override button here that would work that for you. From there, we'll go to our subsidy rate comparison. Exactly the same as before. We're comparing what was on the 5A versus what we found in our file review. And we'll go to the rent calculation and error summary. And basically it's the same as we want to try to figure out what exactly our error was and where we made a mistake. Did we make a mistake in utility allowance schedule? Did we use the wrong bedroom size? Was the utility responsibility incorrect? So on and so forth. And that helps us to identify areas for improvement and tracking trends. Our next screen is kind of our file checklist, so to speak. We've had some agencies that request, liked our system a lot, but wanted to have their still incorporate their file checklist into the system. So basically, that's what we've done here. In order to review the file and verify the information, you have to make sure all these things are in file. So it's just basically just going through and marking yes, no, what's in the file, and then we can report on that later. So we could say, a specialist A wasn't signing capped contracts or wasn't getting leases or whatever the case may be. In case you have a prorated family, there's a different, obviously a different calculation for the proration. Our next screen is processing times, and I'll show you where this comes out a little later. But basically, we have some agencies that wanted to track how long certain processes were taking and where were some of the holdups in, for instance, let's say the intake process or the move process. And so what we did was we set up basically some data captures that we could get out of their system of record. They would endpoint here, and then we would be able to trend the data. And I'll show you where that shows up in just a second. And our final screen is going to be our managed file review. Ultimately, we would determine whether the file is a pass or a fail. The next thing we would do is type out, our comments, anything more specific than what we have that we made in the comment section above. We would save it, and then we would hit our generate error report. Now I'll show you the dashboards real quick. And so you remember earlier we were putting in that processing information. Now, what that does is we create pretty charts from that. That's what really happens. But basically, we can identify the number of days in each process, so the time it takes from when we mail the waitlist selection interview, mail the selection letter to the actual interview. In April, it was 15 days. In May, it was 16 days, and so on and so forth. So it's getting a little bit longer each period. And then, we can see how long our vouchers are on the street. So if our average number here is, you can see average total days lease up process by month. So how long is it taking from the time that we select them from the wait list to the time they actually lease up? In January, it was 119 days. It trends downward to 71 days. Our next one is the average number of vouchers on the street by month. So in January, we had 30% that leased up between 30 and 60 days. We had 60% that leased up between 60 and 90 days. Does that make sense to everybody? Did I lose anybody?
Arlene, you guys there?
We're here.
Okay.
Yes. Can you hear us?
Yeah, and you guys, a lot of agencies will do this type of activity in Excel, or they may have some ability to plug some of this information into their software. What would the case be for you guys? Do you keep track of QC via software or Excel or something like that?
Yeah, actually, we have our QC manager here, Miss Roberts, and she does everything through Excel. And Corliss has joined us now.
Hi. Okay. Hi, Corliss.
Hi, Gary. How are you?
Doing good. So a lot of people, it seems like some of the best projects start out in Excel, and Excel is terrific for tracking stuff. This is taking that same concept, that same idea, and trying to make it a little bit easier for all the team to use and communicate back and forth in a little bit more dynamic fashion. But it's probably a lot of the same information that you're currently tracking via Excel.
Right. Yes. Through Excel.
Well,
Brett had interest. Sorry about that.
No, so I cruised through the QC part pretty quickly. Did anyone have any questions on that?
No, not at this point.
Okay. The next feature I want to show you is the correction tracking piece of our application. So basically, once we generate an error report, an email is sent out to the specialist to let them know that they made an error and that it needs to be corrected. From there, it shows up in our correction tracking tab. We can see that I've hit the error report for the Becker family a couple of times. The specialist will come in, be able to click on the entry, see exactly what the error description is, see if it impacted the HAP, give them an opportunity to agree or disagree with the error, tells them, if there's documents missing, what they need to look for, if the inspection for reasonableness is not there. From there, they would go in and would make an attempt to correct the file and move it to status of in progress, where basically we're waiting for documents to come back. We can't do anything else. You'll notice here there's a number of days since the last status change column. And basically what that allows us to do is track how long it's taking for things to be corrected. We could also, quickly identify files that have not been corrected or been sitting in that status for several days. What one agency decided to do was they wanted to have, if a file sat in a particular status for more than 10 days, that the manager be notified. So what we did was set up an email response. So if a record went over 10 days or went to 11 days, then the manager was sent an escalation email, and they would address the issue. From there, I'll go and show you some of our reporting features. Now, granted, we collect a lot of data in this tool, and we've developed some reports that we're going to show you here, and there's also some more reports that are client specific. We have the ability to customize all the reports. So if there's something that you see you need or think you need, then that's something that most likely we can report on, because let's say we capture so many data fields in here. First, I'm going to show you the executive report. Basically, this is kind of a high-level overview of how the agency is doing. So in our demo here, we've got 3 different offices. We've got a team in each office. We got Team B, Team C, and Team A. We can see an overall accuracy rate for each office, the number of files, obviously with errors, ones, not only ones that follow theirs, but the ones that affect half. We can also break it down by specialist as well. So in this case, we've only reviewed one specialist from each team, but if there were multiple specialists for each team, they would just show up below. Our next report is going to be our financial report. And this puts a dollar value into the errors that we're making. So if we've made obviously they're a little skewed because of my $1 million asset, but you know you can show specialists exactly how much they're costing the agency by not calculating the income correctly. And this can be done on a weekly basis. I mean, you could do it for a whole month and a whole year. So it also helps you with performance evaluations as well. All of the reporting does. Our next report is going to be our special summary report, and this basically breaks down the file into the different areas that we went through in the review, family composition, income, allowances, so on and so forth, and then gives us an idea of exactly where that error took place. So in this case, we have no errors, but I believe in one of the next page there is. Yeah. So in this case, we can see that Elaine Specialist had issues with total allowances. She had issues with annual income, and then with the total tenant payment, which all would affect each other. So we would need to maybe look at her, and see if she needed some more training as far as her how she calculated allowances. Our last report is our notes report, and so for agencies that use paper files, they wanted a report they could print out and stick to the file and hand back to the specialist. Basically, what we do here is we capture all of our notes that we made throughout the file review, consolidate them into this note field, and we print it out and put it on the file. Basically, it in a nutshell. I know I went through it relatively quickly, but if you guys had any questions for me or wanted me to go back and show you something one more time and explain how it works in a little more detail, I'd be more than happy to do that.